What is up, guys? Welcome back to Behind the Ball, where today we are going to be discussing the fact that the Gerrard rebuild at Aston Villa is well and truly underway. We're trimming the fat, we're getting rid of some deadwood for the first time, I think properly for the first time since we got promoted from the Championship. You can tell that this is Gerrard having his way with this squad, getting rid of the players that he doesn't want in, and hopefully freeing up some wage bill space to bring in some players that he does. First of all, a little bit of housekeeping. Twitter down in the description below, give that a follow. Subscribe to the channel, notifications on, leave a like, and also comment down below what you think about the fact that we are now actually getting rid of loads of deadwood, players that we don't need, and who do you think we will get in to replace them. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So first of all, we're going to kick it off with the players that we have actually sold for a bit of money. Now, the second one, technically I've been a little bit cheeky. We haven't sold yet, but he's definitely going to go. Kicking it off with Matt Targett. Obviously, we have sold him now to Newcastle for 15 mil. A prediction which I made in my Defenders chopping block video. It was like one of the first videos I put out on this channel. I said that Matt Targett would go to Newcastle. I was pretty convinced at the time. You can call me behind the ball in the know. Maybe I'll change my Twitter to that. But 15 million, a good transfer fee for Matt Targett. Apparently he's on like 100k a week. I hope that they're trolling when they say that because I don't think he's good enough for that type of money. He played 89 games for Villa, getting 3 goals and 5 assists. A good servant for us when we needed him, and he was good during the COVID era when there were no fans in the stadium. Emi Martinez once made a bit of a non-sly reference to the fact that certain players within the Aston Villa team kind of went into a shell when the audiences and the crowds were allowed back into football games. And I think that kind of happened for Matt Targett, but he seems to be enjoying himself up in Newcastle now. And getting 15 million for a player like that, I'm quite happy with that. We've already upgraded that position with Luca Digne, so all in all, just a fantastic signing or a fantastic transfer to get out the club, I think. He was never going to get any game time, and we can sign a better backup for Luca Digne than Matt Targett probably could have been. Second of all, we move into Trezeguet. I'm probably going to absolutely butcher this pronunciation, but Trabzonspor have put in an official, well, not a bid, but they've made official inquiries for Trezeguet. He was obviously on loan in Turkey last year. Trabzonspor are a Turkish team. It kind of makes sense. I think he got 6 goals and 4 assists in 12 league games in the Turkish league last year. It's clearly his level. The Premier League isn't his level. I mean, I know that 3 things in life are certain: death, taxes, and Trezeguet at the back post. Let him do it in the Turkish league. Let him flourish. He's not good enough for the Premier League, in my opinion. Played 64 games for Villa, getting 9 goals and 5 assists. Maybe his time at Villa was hampered a little bit by a couple of injuries that he picked up, but we have better players now. Again, it's a position that we've already strengthened with Emi Buendia, Coutinho as well. So we just don't need him anymore, and I assume that we'll sign another forward going into next season as well. Again, both of them, they were good for us. They've done a job when we needed them to, but for a team that want to push up into the top half of the table, I completely get the sale of both of these players, and I think there will be more to come as well. Next up, the Premier League have done their official released and retained list. So there's quite a few youth players in here, but a couple of senior players that I definitely want to touch on as well. And these are players that have been released from their contracts. So we're not selling them for any money. We're just letting their contracts expire on the 30th of June. They're pretty much already not Villa players anymore, but officially, I think it's official on the 30th of June that they are no longer players for us. The first being Tristan Aberdeen Goodridge. Again, probably butchered it. I do apologise. 19-year-old winger. For the youth setups for Villa, he played 44 games, getting 9 goals and 8 assists. Again, I don't really know too much about some of these youngsters. I know obviously we had that great season when we won the FA Youth Cup a couple of years ago. Last season was not as good. Our under-23s underperformed. I think our under-18s underperformed as well. Didn't get very far in any of the Youth Cup competitions. We've sacked or released our youth team manager. So I assume that Gerrard probably wants a rebuild of Villa from top to bottom. And I think that's going to start with the under-23s, which I think Tristan was playing for. Again, I wish all these youngsters all the best. It's never nice when you're a young player and you get released by your club. You don't really know what's going to happen next. But being at Villa for 44 games for a youth setup, I'm sure he'll get a good club going forward, let's say. Up next, Paul Appiah. 19 years of age, centre-back, played 48 games for Villa youth setup, getting 1 goal and 3 assists. Again, don't particularly know too much about him as a player, but obviously 19 years old, he's going to do well in the future going forward. And these are the type of players that, you know, I think generally by sort of 19, 20, 21, you know if a player's good enough to step up into the senior team for you. And it might be a bit different if he was stepping up to the senior team when we were in the Championship. But again, a team that wants to push forward, he just probably was never going to get in. We've got Mings. We've just signed Diego Carlos. We've still got Ezri Konsa on the books, Chambers, Courtney Hawes, etc., etc., etc. Which brings us on to our next player, Mungo Bridge. He was actually one that I think Villa were quite excited about when he was a bit younger. 21 years of age, though, now playing 60 games for the Villa youth setup, or 59 for the Villa youth setup, and 1 for the senior team. I believe he was in the senior team that lost, what was it, like 4-5-1 to Liverpool in the FA Cup, when we had to field a really young side due to COVID breakout at the club. Again, 21 years old. He's had a couple of loans to senior teams where I think he played like 8 games in Ligue 1 or Ligue 2 in terms of like the French Ligue 2 last season. One that was filled with promise, but it just kind of never worked out, and you never know if it's going to work out for you in football. So I wish those 3 the best. But before we get on to the next one's an important one. I do wish those 3 the best, but again, we're probably trimming some deadwood from our youth setups as well, so that we can bring in some fresh youngsters that maybe will be able to push on for us in the future. So the first kind of interesting release, Conor Hourihane. When I think of Villa in the Championship, this man comes to the forefront of my mind. You know, he was kind of like Villa's Championship hero during those dark days when we were down there battling it out. Played 151 games for the club, scoring 29 goals and getting 23 assists. A good record for a centre midfielder, and like I say, probably one of our best players when we were in the Championship. Unfortunately for him, it just hasn't really worked out at a Premier League level, and I kind of agree with the choice to let him go. I think we're probably going to let a few of the centre mids go and maybe get one more in on top of Kamara, like a fresh number 8. But I thought I'd give Hourihane his own little segment, his own little clip. You know, the goals that he scored for Villa in the Championship were vital, especially the one against West Brom in that playoff semi-final. Like I say, when I think of us in the Championship, I think of Conor Hourihane. You know, he was such a professional throughout, probably one of our best and most consistent players through that Championship era. And, you know, when the club was down there and the club needed him most, he performed. He never complained. He's still only 30, 31. His loan to Sheffield United didn't really work out last season, probably as well as he hoped. But I'm hoping that a club picks him up straight away. I wouldn't even be surprised if like a Middlesbrough or a Bournemouth or someone who's just come up look to a player like Hourihane for free, and take him and give him some game time, because I think he does deserve it. I wish him all the best. An ultimate professional, a fantastic player. Not Villa level anymore, and it's a shame that he's not. I would have loved it if he would have been able to kick on further. But I have no bad words to say about him as his time at the club, and I hope he gets picked up by a club that's going to treat him like how we did in the Championship and give him all the game time in the world, because he is a fantastic. Next up, another couple of youngsters. Akos Onodoi, a 20-year-old goalkeeper, played 39 games for Villa, including 1 senior team / first team cap, which again I believe was that FA Cup game. You know, we've just signed Robin Olsen. We've obviously got Martinez still at the club. So your third keeper is sort of like it's kind of like a youth keeper that you're a little bit excited about, that can come in and cover some cup games maybe. If the second team keeper's out, can maybe relieve him on the bench if the first team keeper's out and the second, you know what I mean? It's kind of a succession thing. Most clubs, their third keeper is just a youth player that they are sort of excited about and want to try and fill in with the first team. I think we have Sinisalo kind of going to fill that spot in next season. So instead of keeping Onodoi, again, I'm probably pronouncing that name completely wrong, just like lingering around the youth setups, he is 20 now. I think, you know, he'll go on, he'll kick on, he'll get another club and go from there. So not too much to say about him. Moving on next, another one that we thought had a lot of promise in Dominic Ravan, 21 years old, centre-back for Villa youth teams. He played 83 games, getting a goal and 2 assists, and had 1 first-team appearance again against Liverpool in that FA Cup game. Again, sometimes things just don't work out. He looked like he was full of promise, but again, he's 21 years old now, and if you're not good enough at 21 to be breaking into a first team, I think it's kind of, you know, maybe you've just missed your chance. There's nothing against him. He's had loans at Weymouth and Northampton Town recently, and couldn't really get a good run of games in League 2 or the National League for either of those teams. I'm pretty sure his brother still plays for us, Hourihane. I'm pretty sure he still plays for us anyway. But you know, it just didn't work out for him. And again, these youngsters, it's going to be horrible for them getting released from a club like Villa at that kind of age. But I'm sure he will kick on. I have no doubt about it. Like I say, his brother's still at the club, so hopefully his brother can pick up maybe where he left off and fulfil, I'm sure, both of their dreams of getting into the Villa first team. But I wish him and his brother all the best. Obviously, brother's still at the club. Finley Thorndike, this is a bit of a weird one. 20 years old, plays right mid, 22 games for Villa, 4 goals and 2 assists. We only signed him at the start of this season. We signed him from the West Brom Academy when we kind of just raided their academy for a few of their youngsters. It seemed like a big signing at the time. The club seemed really excited about the signing. Obviously, he's had one season at the club and it just hasn't worked out. Again, unfortunately, football is football. If you're not good enough, you'll get cut. I'm sure he will go on to find a team to play for. Like I say, there was so much hype around him when he actually signed for the club. I'm surprised that it didn't work out. But obviously, his ex-compatriot Tim Aerobigam has kicked on to be the first team, and he's 2 years younger. So that just goes to show if you have the quality, you will. If you don't, unfortunately, you do get cut. But again, these another 3 youngsters, another 3 that I wish all the best to. Before we get on to our last one, which is a big one, and of course, a Villa legend. I believe this is going to be his time as a player at the club fully coming to a close now. Mr. Dashing Ashley Young, Dashley Young, ends his time at Villa. I'm going to go through his overall stats. We'll forget about last season. You know, last season was a bit of a swan song for him. 215 games, 37 goals, 61 assists. I remember watching him when he was back at Watford, and then obviously he signed for Villa. Great servant for us. Didn't leave in the best circumstances, especially with the dive against us for United. But I'm sure we can forgive him. He's redeemed himself. He's come back to the club. He's done a job for us this season. He was clearly signed to do a job under Dean Smith. He can continue to do that job under Steven Gerrard. But again, we've got to look on. We've got to move on. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if he's going to carry on playing. He is like 36 now. So I don't know if he's going to carry on playing. If he isn't going to carry on playing, I don't know if he's done any coaching badges, but I would like to see him move into a coaching role at Villa. I think that could be just an interesting thing. Maybe he'll go back to Watford for another season in the Championship to finish his career. I really don't know. But I wish him all the best. Played 24 games for Villa this season. We have to trim these players, unfortunately. And it's a goodbye to 2 Villa legends in him and Conor Hourihane. Senior players that have been released anyway, but I think ultimately the right decision. But let me know what you think down in the comments below about the release of these 2. And that brings the video to an end. 8 players released, 1 sold in Kieran Trippier. Not Kieran Trippier. I don't know why on earth he came to the forefront of my mind. 1 sold in Matt Target. Trezeguet has been, there's an official inquiry for Trezeguet, so I think he will probably go. There's rumours of Danny Ings going. There's rumours of Bertrand Traore going. So it's all kind of happening at Villa. The Gerrard rebuild for this summer, we all thought that it was underway with the 3 signings that we made. I think now it's fully underway. He is trimming this squad to be a Steven Gerrard squad, not a Dean Smith squad, and I'm all here for it. I'm all very excited for it. We've got to make room for young players like you see on the screen. You know, Ramsey, Cameron Archer banging 3 goals in 3 games for the England under-21s. Jacob Ramsey being the England under-21 captain in a game where Cameron Archer scored a double. These are the type of players that you want, you know, and these youngsters that aren't really kicking on. Football's a harsh game. It is a very, very harsh game. I hope that Villa offer them some aftercare and stuff. And in terms of Ashley Young and Conor Hourihane, like I say, 2 club legends, but time to move on. We're trimming the fat. We're getting ready for the Gerrard European push, and I am all here for it. I'm sure there will be signings coming in the next few days. I'm sure of it. I have no doubt. We're being linked here left, right, and centre with different players now. It's an exciting time for the Villa, and any news that does come in, obviously we're going to cover it on this channel. Road to 1,500 subs. We're about 80 subs away. So tell all your friends about it, any Villa players. When the Premier League does kick off, we're going to be getting into Premier League videos as well. But that's all for me today, guys. I'm out.